In a small Iowa town, a simple evening jog ended in horror. The disappearance of Mollie Tibbetts would lead to a chilling discovery and a murder that shook the nation. This is the tragic tale of a life cut short and the relentless pursuit of justice. Welcome back to Chilling Fireside Stories, where we explore tragic true crime cases that have shocked entire communities. Today we're diving into the devastating story of Mollie Tibbetts. This case captured national headlines and sparked an emotional and polarizing conversation across the country. Before we begin, a word of caution. This video discusses sensitive topics including violence and murder. Viewer discretion is advised. Now settle in and let's begin. Mollie Cecilia Tibbetts was born on May 8, 1998, in San Francisco, California, to parents Rob and Laura Tibbetts. When she was in the second grade, her parents divorced, leading her to relocate to Iowa with her mother and her brothers Jake and Scott. Despite the separation, her father maintained a close bond with the children. Mollie settled in Brooklyn, Iowa, a small town about 70 miles east of Des Moines. Mollie's family and friends often described her as a deeply compassionate and kind individual with a love for helping others. In school, she was known for her friendly and inclusive nature, always making an effort to reach out to others. Mollie was bright and motivated, performing well academically and nurturing aspirations for her future. She enjoyed sports, particularly cross-country, which she took up in high school. Her love for running eventually became a core part of her daily routine, a routine that would lead her into a tragic and unforeseen fate. She was pursuing a psychology degree at the University of Iowa and worked at a children's day camp at Grinnell Regional Medical Center, preparing for her sophomore year of college. Mollie's relationship with her boyfriend Dalton was a significant part of her life. They shared many plans, laughs, and a love for adventure, further cementing her place in the heart of their small town. Mollie had returned home for the summer and was working at a children's day camp before heading back to college in the fall. But life had a different path in store. On July 18, 2018, Mollie left Dalton's house for her usual evening run, unknowingly embarking on a journey from which she would never return. On July 19, 2018, concerns arose when Mollie failed to show up for her summer job at a daycare center in Brooklyn, Iowa. Her absence was uncharacteristic, prompting her boyfriend Dalton Jack to try to reach her, only to find his calls unanswered and diverted to voicemail. None of Mollie's family or friends had seen her that day, leading Dalton to report her disappearance to the authorities. According to Dalton, the last contact he had with Mollie was the previous night when she was alone at home. Mollie had been staying at Dalton's house, shared with his brother Blake in Brooklyn, Iowa, as she was looking after their dogs. Mollie was last seen on the evening of July 18. During police inquiries, Dalton informed them that he and his brother were away for work that week, leaving Mollie alone at the house. He stated that his last interaction with Mollie was through a Snapchat message received at 10:30 p.m. on July 18 while he was in his hotel room watching a movie. Police initiated a search for Mollie and learned that on July 18 she went out for a jog along a rural road near Brooklyn. An acquaintance, Christina Stewart, provided information to the police, stating that she spotted Mollie running around 7:45 p.m. on that same day. Driving past her, Christina recognized Mollie and was certain it was her. This prompted authorities to investigate surveillance footage in the vicinity, aiming to track Mollie's route and subsequent movements. Over several weeks, a concerted effort involving hundreds of volunteers, friends, family, and law enforcement was launched to locate Mollie, yet no traces of her were discovered. The case took a promising turn when police obtained CCTV footage capturing Mollie during her run. The footage depicted passing vehicles, with one particular car catching attention for circling back and passing Mollie once more. The individual identified by the police was Christian Bahina Rivera, an undocumented Mexican migrant who had been working under an alias at a nearby dairy farm called Yerby Farms for 4 years. Surveillance footage from a homeowner's camera captured him driving past Mollie in his Chevy Malibu. Christian was subsequently questioned regarding Mollie's disappearance. Initially, he denied seeing Mollie that day, but after extensive interrogation he eventually confessed to encountering her. He admitted to seeing Mollie while driving and circling back because he found her attractive. Further questioning shattered any hope of finding Mollie alive. Christian disclosed that he exited his vehicle and approached Mollie, who threatened to call the police if he didn't leave her alone. This provoked his anger, leading to a blackout. Upon regaining consciousness, he found himself inside his vehicle with Mollie, who was deceased and covered in blood. He then confessed to driving to a cornfield in Brooklyn, where he buried her body. Christian guided the police to the location where Mollie was buried, where they discovered her distinctive running shoes amidst leaves and corn stalks. An autopsy later revealed that Mollie had sustained multiple stab wounds. Christian faced a charge of first-degree murder. Despite guiding the police to Mollie's burial site, he entered a plea of not guilty. Consequently, the prosecution aimed to persuade the jury that although Christian claimed to have blacked out after Mollie threatened to call the police, and then found her covered in blood in his vehicle, the only plausible explanation for this gap in his confession was that he had stabbed her to death. The prosecution argued that Christian alone was responsible for Mollie's demise, asserting that no one else was involved in the crime. The prosecution's case was built on three main points to support their argument. First, they presented surveillance footage capturing Christian's truck, passing by Mollie while she was jogging. Second, they highlighted specific statements Christian made to the police, including his role in leading them to the location where Mollie's body was buried. Third, the presence of Mollie's DNA inside Christian's truck further implicated him in the crime. The Poweshiek County attorney argued that when considering all this evidence together, there could be no other conclusion than that the defendant killed Mollie Tibbetts. The prosecution asserted to the jury their belief that a sexual motive was involved in Mollie's death, noting that her attire consisted of only socks and a sports bra, with her legs spread when her body was discovered in the cornfield. The jury was briefed on Mollie's injuries, with the autopsy revealing she had suffered between 7 to 12 stab wounds to her chest, ribs, neck and skull, ultimately succumbing to sharp force injuries. The prosecution presented additional evidence to the court, highlighting Mollie's DNA discovered in Christian's truck, particularly on blood spots found on the rubber trunk seal and trunk liner of his Malibu. Emphasizing the totality of the evidence, the prosecution urged the jury to consider it comprehensively, asserting that it would leave no room for doubt regarding Christian's guilt. In contrast, the defense offered a different perspective. They argued that Christian was not responsible for Mollie's stabbing, describing him as a hard-working immigrant who entered the country illegally as a teenager in pursuit of a better life. His attorney, Jennifer Fries, emphasized that the police prematurely concluded the investigation into Mollie's case. Fries underscored that while Mollie's family deserved justice, so did Christian Bahina Rivera. The defense alleged that Christian was pressured into making a false confession, describing him as a yes man who always did anything he was asked to do. She told the jury that when police questioned him, it took place over the course of many hours, after he had just worked a 12-hour shift. She argued that his confession was false and coerced, claiming the state put it in his head that he might have blacked out. The state, she argued, got what they wanted and closed the case under intense pressure to arrest someone for this vicious crime. The defense contended that Christian never confessed to stabbing Mollie and suggested the involvement of another party. They sought to raise suspicions about Dalton, portraying him as an imperfect boyfriend with a short temper. Dalton admitted during his testimony that he had a tendency to lose his temper and had engaged in past fights. Additionally, the defense asserted that Dalton was not a faithful boyfriend, as he admitted to cheating on Mollie. Dalton confirmed that Mollie discovered his infidelity by going through messages on his phone. Although Dalton claimed they had moved past the issue, further questioning by the defense revealed that just 3 days before Mollie disappeared, she was still upset about it. The day before she was last seen alive, she discussed the matter again. The defense also presented Dalton's phone records, indicating that he only called Mollie once in the days following her disappearance, despite her body not being discovered until a month later. They informed the jury about an unusual text message Dalton received from a woman with whom he had a prior relationship. This message came after Mollie was reported missing and it asked, "Is Mollie alive?" Dalton acknowledged his faults and lack of honesty. He admitted to initially misleading the police by claiming he was watching a movie in his hotel room on the night Mollie disappeared. He also confirmed that he initially told police his last communication with Mollie was a Snapchat received at 10:30 p.m., when in reality he received it after 1 a.m. However, he denied any involvement in Mollie's death. Christian Bahena Rivera took the stand and explained to the court that his initial statements to the police were not truthful because he feared for the safety of his former partner and child. He asserted that he was not responsible for Mollie's death and implicated two other individuals. According to Christian's testimony on July 18, while he was showering, two masked men he did not recognize broke into his trailer. One brandished a knife and the other a gun. They coerced him into driving to a rural road near Brooklyn where Mollie was. Christian claimed that one of the men killed Mollie and placed her body in his vehicle, directing him where to dispose of it. He stated that they then threatened him, warning that harm would come to his former girlfriend and daughter if he spoke out. This, he explained, was why he initially told police he approached Mollie and blacked out rather than revealing the truth. The defense brought forensic consultant Michael Spence to testify about the DNA discovered in Christian's truck. While he confirmed that Mollie's DNA was present on bloodstains in the truck, he also stated that other DNA was found, including that of at least one unidentified male and female. Iris Gamboa, the mother of Christian's daughter, testified that she had lived with him for 4 years until their relationship ended in 2017. Despite their separation, she described Christian as a good father. She mentioned that he consistently paid $500 in child support for their daughter each month and also sent money to his parents in Mexico to support them in building a new house. When asked about Christian's behavior towards her, Iris stated that he was never violent and never exhibited excessive anger. Following 7 hours of deliberation, the jury found Christian guilty of first-degree murder. Before the sentencing hearing, the defense requested time to investigate two claims that emerged after the guilty verdict was rendered. The judge granted a delay to allow for this. Upon obtaining details related to the new information, the defense filed a motion seeking a new trial for Christian. It was revealed in court that the claims suggested evidence pointing to others being responsible for Mollie's death, which had only come to light after the guilty verdict. According to two individuals, a man named Gavin Jones confessed to them that he was responsible for Mollie's death. One of the individuals, an inmate, stated that Gavin disclosed his involvement to him while they were both incarcerated at the Keokuk County Jail. The inmate recounted Gavin's confession, stating that Gavin claimed to have stabbed Mollie with another individual, dismembered her and wrapped her body in plastic. Upon police inquiry, Gavin denied any involvement. It was disclosed that he had been in a rehabilitation facility during the summer of 2018 and later resided in an assisted living facility under state supervision. The judge pointed out discrepancies between the alleged statement attributed to Gavin and the actual evidence presented in the case, noting that Mollie had not been dismembered or wrapped in plastic. And he confirmed that he would proceed with sentencing. Addressing Christian in court, the judge remarked, "You and you alone forever changed the lives of those who loved Mollie Tibbetts." Given that Iowa does not have the death penalty, Christian, having been found guilty of first-degree murder, received a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, the punishment included an order for Christian to pay $150,000 in restitution to the Tibbetts family. Mollie's mother, Laura Calderwood, delivered a victim impact statement addressed to Christian, which was read to the court. She said, "I come here to give a voice to our daughter, granddaughter, sister, girlfriend, niece, cousin and friend, Mollie Cecilia Tibbetts. Mollie was a young woman who simply wanted to go for a quiet run on the evening of July 18th, and you chose to violently and sadistically end that life. Because of your act, Mollie's father, Rob, will never get to walk his only daughter down the aisle. Because of your act, Mr. Rivera, I will never get to see my daughter become a mother." Laura described the difficulty of breaking the tragic news of Mollie's murder to her own mother, Judy Calderwood, particularly given Judy's deep faith and unwavering belief that Mollie would be found alive. Laura recounted the moment, saying, "I very quietly and softly said, 'Mom, I have some bad news. They found Mollie's body this morning. Judy Calderwood's unwavering faith had been brutally shattered by your senseless act of violence. The prosecutor in the case expressed his belief that the jury made the correct decision with the verdict and that the sentence imposed was appropriate, stating, "Based upon the facts and circumstances of this case, it is clear that justice has been served." The case of Mollie Tibbetts gained national attention and sparked a debate over immigration policies. Christian Bahena Rivera, the suspect, was an undocumented immigrant, which led to political discussions about immigration laws. Mollie's family pleaded with politicians not to use her death to advance political causes, as Mollie herself was against using tragedies for political gain. Her father, Rob Tibbetts, emphasized that Mollie's life was about love, not hate. He called for unity and compassion in her memory. A legacy of love and safety reminders in honor of Mollie, her family created the Mollie Tibbetts Memorial Fund, which supports causes related to children and youth. Her story serves as a reminder of the importance of community, awareness, and safety. As always, I include safety tips tailored to each case, and this is just a gentle reminder to help keep ourselves and our loved ones safer. Always share your route and expected return time with someone you trust. Run in well-lit, populated areas and avoid isolated routes. Carry your phone and a personal safety device like pepper spray or a whistle. Stay alert. Limit distractions like headphones. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, change your route or seek help. I've also linked an app in the description that can help keep you or your loved ones safer when out alone. If you found this story meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. By sharing these stories, we honor the victims and help keep their memories alive. Until next time, stay warm, stay safe, and look after your loved ones.